Well, I was going to say, you're a pragmatist. You've been doing this for a very long time. What is your hope? Because let's say, for example, a hung parliament, Labor needs the Greens to have power. The Greens vow that they will never allow another hydrocarbons project to be approved in Australia. Where does that place Australia?
Well, look, I mean, I think we're already in a world where sovereign risk is a major issue for Australia. And I've said many, many times that none of these major resource projects have ever been developed using Australian money. They've all required international funding, whether that be via major offtake contracts or direct funding into the projects themselves. And it's just the size and the scale of these projects requires that. Today, we're not seeing that investment coming into Australia. And you know, the most common issue that I get asked about when I go on my investor roadshows around the world is around sovereign risk and investing in Australia. I think we have an opportunity, no matter who wins this election, to sit down, to consult with industry, to see what we can do to improve and speed up those approval processes. And it's not about lessening the standards, it's just about speeding up the process of getting there and encouraging more investment into the country. If we don't see any more projects approved, of course, I think Australia suffers because it will not cut down the amount of gas consumed worldwide. If anything, it just means that people using that gas across Asia or elsewhere will buy it from elsewhere, the Middle East, Russia, wherever, or alternatively, they'll burn more coal. But it will not mean there's less gas being consumed globally.
OK, so then take me to the attitude of your customers right now, be they in Korea or Japan or in China. What do they say to you when Australia and the opposition, as you know right now, has a policy of sitting down with you to get uncontracted gas back into the East Coast grid to make sure there's plenty of gas there? But that means there's less gas going into those Asian markets, which they need to heat their homes and for industry and to keep their lights on. What do they tell you?
Well, look, I think, first of all, there's a recognition that gas demand is growing. In fact, more recent reports I read shows a 34% forecast growth in gas demand in Asia over the next 10 years alone, and significant growth in gas demand all the way through to 2050. And that's because we still have billions of people who aspire for the quality of life and the standards of living that we have here in Australia, and they need energy to achieve those aspirations. So we're going to see that gas demand growing. Australia's got a very long and proud record of being a reliable supplier of energy, gas in particular, into Japan, Korea, China, Malaysia, and other Asian countries as well. And that has brought about regional energy security, but also a period of regional stability, security, in other words. And I think in order to maintain that energy security in the region, we have to maintain our place as a strong supplier of gas to a region. More importantly, domestically, also supplying energy security for ourselves here in Australia. What I'm hearing from my customers is very pleasing, I think, that both sides of politics are saying that they will honour existing contracts. They're not going to threaten the sanctity of those contracts, so our Asian partners can rely on that. But nervous about what comes after that. No real commitments or visible signs that there's a commitment to delivering and securing gas over the longer term for our Asian partners. So I think the more we can do to get certainty around long-term policy, the better, and provide that assurance to our neighbours. Otherwise, they'll be buying it, as I say, from Middle East, Russia or North America.
OK, then take me to the Barossa gas plant, the gas coming from offshore Darwin, coming back into the gas plant at Darwin. First gas is about to arrive now, and in fact your first shipment is expected to be in the third quarter of this year. Does politics and the election, does that put any of that off course in your mind?
No, look, we're myopically focused on progressing that project. The FPSO, which is the biggest FPSO in the world outside of floating LNG vessels, is almost ready to sail. It's just a few weeks away from sailing, and we're still on track to bring that on production in the third quarter, as you've said, this year. And we're just finalising the last bits of infrastructure being completed as we speak right now. So the project's going well. It's on track, as I say, for third quarter this year. And we're very excited about bringing that in. And we've got all of that gas is sold to our Japanese and Korean customers and partners. And they're relying on that gas, to say, for their own energy security over the next couple of decades.
OK, then the other project that is key in all this is Narrabri. It seems, for whatever reason, to be stuck. And yet what you have said consistently is if you can get that Narrabri project up, then the problems of the East Coast gas supply pretty much end, because that gas is all targeted for the East Coast grid. But right now, it's stuck, isn't it?
We have made it very clear, Ross, 100% of the gas from the Narrabri project will be dedicated to the East Coast domestic market. None of that gas will be exported. And we've said that for years. That's been a commitment Santos has made for several years. Interesting when people talk about how much gas we need to cover us for shortfalls. Narrabri will provide, phase one for Narrabri will provide something like 25 to 35 petajoules of gas per year from the first year it comes on stream. So a very significant contribution, or add, if you like, to the East Coast market. Technically, we're more or less there. We're ready to go. The project was approved, I think, in 2020 after a very exhaustive and comprehensive independent planning commission review for that project. There's been a few challenges along the way. We've got native title approvals we're just finalising and going through that process. And we've got the pipeline, the Hunter Valley pipeline approval that's required. Once we get that, we'll be ready to take FID, final investment decision, but we're really just waiting for those approvals.
And are they easy, and can they be taken for granted, no matter which side of politics wins the election?
Well, look, I mean, it's a state-level process for Narrabri. Is it easy? I mean, I think your viewers would be laughing if I said it's easy 15 years in. So I don't think I can say it's easy or we anticipate it being easy. Look, I mean, I think the loopholes and the avenues for challenge exist. We're minimising our spend on this project until we get our approvals, because just like I talked earlier about foreign companies seeing sovereign risk, we see the risk around these types of projects getting too far ahead of ourselves as being too high to invest too fast. So we're holding back on some investments and really just investing to maintain our licence to operate credentials whilst we progress the approvals. It's really, I wouldn't like to give a timeline on it. However, what I would say is if we got approvals tomorrow, we could get started in this project and we could get gas into the system pretty quickly.
Tell you what, Kevin Gallagher, always good to have you, Chief Executive of Santos. Many thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me, Ross.